Good evening, tubers. Madam Roy back once again. Well, got 11 watchers off the bat. That is totally awesome. Let's see who we got here. Nick Roberts, yes, bye. You're going to staple your SSD. I'm pretty sure you can't mount it with a screw, LOL. Yeah, I can definitely mount it with a screw. Yeah, I'll explain that in a few minutes. Sonic Wang is back. Yeah, I would use duct tape. Hey, that was Red Green's favorite tool, the handyman secret weapon, duct tape. Eric Brunhammer, Las papas fritas están listas. I have no idea what that means, but okay. Very funny. Ruben says hi. Seth Breakfield's here. Julian Butler's here. Very nice. I386 just retracted a message. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm sorry you're under the weather, Nick. Ulcerative colitis it can be a pain. That's all right. If you don't feel good, go to bed. Believe me, there'll be more live streams in the future. So basically, I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this as soon as possible. Reselling. What we need to know about reselling and biggest mistakes that people make. Well, first and foremost, it took me a lot of years to get to this point where I can pretty much buy something at a thrift store, charity shop, what have you, know its value almost immediately, bring it home, maybe do a little work to it, and then be able to resell it on something like Craigslist, OfferUp, Let Go, Facebook Marketplace, all of them. Now, the first thing I want to tell you is you have to be very, very careful because there are certain items out there that you might think have a high value, but they really don't. And the best way to go about researching that is with an app that I use on my phone, and I'll pull it up. It's called What It's Worth Free, and it's actually put out by Amazon. And the nice thing about this app, again, it's called What It's Worth. You can actually scan the barcode. You see that top icon right there? You see that right there? It looks like a barcode. Well, if you click that, you can actually scan the barcode of any item that you see that has a barcode, and it'll give you the price that it's selling for on eBay, which is very valuable because if you know what it's selling for on eBay, you can pretty much get a good idea of what you can get for it locally. Now, eBay is generally going to be the place where you're going to get the most money. But it's also going to be the place where you have the biggest headaches, i.e. returns. You have to ship it out. If it's a large item, it may not be worth shipping. So this is a good rule of thumb. If I see something that I've purchased is priced at maybe $200 on eBay, I'll reduce it by about 25% to sell locally, so about $150. And to me, it's actually worth taking that approach and making a little less profit because it's just easier generally to sell. Most items I buy will sell fast, even in my area locally. They'll sell for, again, a decent amount of money, and I don't have to worry about the headaches of selling on eBay or Amazon and having to ship the items. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't do that? Absolutely not. I mean, if you're okay with that, especially if they're smaller items, then generally on platforms like eBay and Amazon, that's where you're going to get the most money for those items. But when you get things like, I deal in like big PCs, towers, even things like VCRs and stuff like that, sometimes shipping them is just not the best way to go about it because not only are they big and they're bulky and they're hard to ship, they're expensive to ship. If you don't know how to package them properly, they can get damaged. I cannot tell you how many times I've ordered items off eBay like that. And when they got here, they were damaged because let's face it, the mail is unpredictable, especially this time of year. When you think about, the post office, United States Postal Service, but even things like UPS, FedEx, and other ones. There's so many packages coming for Christmas that inevitably a few of them are going to get damaged. So you basically just got to figure out what works best for you. But that's the first thing I want to talk about is you want to be smart about it. So many people I know have gone into this saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to make so much money." I see these people going to the thrift stores. They're buying these heirlooms for pennies on the dollar and flipping them for thousands of dollars on eBay. Chances are you're not going to do that. As a matter of fact, I almost guarantee you're not going to find anything that's that valuable. And that's why things like the What's It Worth app, and there are other ones out there too. You guys can figure out which one works best for you. Basically, they're just scanner apps. Amazon puts one out, eBay puts one out. That one I'm telling you guys about is actually put out by Amazon. The other thing you got to consider is your time and your money as it pertains to your vehicle. Whenever you're driving to these thrift stores, chances are they're not right near your house. You may have to go, at least in my case, sometimes I have to drive 45 minutes an hour away to get the best deals. Now, I have to add that into my profit. That actually eats away at my profit. So I have to add that cost into what I'll be making in the end. Now, the government will tell you 50 cents a mile. I don't usually go that high. I average maybe 10 to 20 cents a mile. Now, that covers fuel and wear and tear on your vehicle because let's face it, your vehicle is going to need repairs every once in a while. And what do you do about it? Well, you have to have money saved to go ahead and do those repairs. So let me look into the comments here. I know a lot of people have been making comments. Honestly, what do you make per year doing this? Profit. I am not going to talk about numbers here. That's not proper. I do okay. Let's put it that way. Of course, I'd always want to do better. I'm not starving, as you guys know. I was able to purchase a second car, so you guys know I'm doing okay. But it's just not proper to talk about numbers specifically. Reviews for noobs. China seller seems to pack the items really well. Yes, and there's a reason for that. They're coming from China. They're coming across the seas. And not only that, they have to pass through customs where customs will usually cut them open, look inside, figure out if what's inside is what the label says, and then have to seal it back up. So yeah, China, anything you order from China, they're going to pack really, really well because they don't want to complain. Because I've ordered things from China before on eBay. Usually they're small things like video cards, wireless cards, memory, stuff like that. But if it gets damaged and you put a complaint in, think about all the shipping costs that they incurred getting that to you, because 9 times out of 10, to entice people to buy, they offer free shipping. If you put in a claim against them to eBay and eBay refunds the money to you, I mean, they can't stay in business, that way. So that's the main reason that they really want to try to package things as best as they can. And to be perfectly honest with you, I find that people shipping from the United States don't do half as good of a job. So take out of that what you will, but it sometimes for cheaper items, it's actually better to buy from China and just have to wait for it. A lot of times you have to wait a few weeks, but if it's something you can anticipate not needing for a month, then yeah, save yourself some money and buy it from China. Ian Pickavance asks, do you think you will go back to full-time employment in the future? That's a very good question. I honestly don't know at this point. I've discussed this in length in previous live streams, but I've had issues specifically with anxiety and a few other things in my life that have prevented me from holding a full-time job. Now, I am getting help for that. Things are changing. I'm not going to go into any specifics about that, but nothing's off the table, let's say. If the right job came my way, something that I could handle that's fairly low stress, then yeah, I would consider it, but probably not full time. I'm thinking a part-time job, probably something 20 to 25 hours a week. That way I can do that job and still have time to pursue my other passions, YouTube and my side computer business. Very, very good question. Nick Roberts says you should do dumpster diving. You want to know something funny? I used to dumpster dive when we lived in the apartment. We lived in an apartment when we first moved down here in the late 90s. And in our apartment complex, there were three different, I don't know what you call them, but three different areas. There was like the main area where the offices were. There was another area of apartments, and then there was one behind that. And each little area had two dumpsters. And on a daily basis, usually right before school, I would go over to the dumpsters. If I found something good in there, I would actually hop in and get it out of there. I don't do it anymore. Main reason is it's just really unsanitary. It kind of grossed me out when I did it at the time, but at the time I had this. It was kind of like a one-piece suit to where I could put it on if I needed to, go in there, get what I needed, get out of there. And if it got really dirty, I'd just take it off and throw it in the wash. But no, I can't imagine doing that anymore. I just don't need to at this point. Ruben says he did some dumpster diving. Dumpster diving, like I said, can be fun. You can make a good living. There are guys on YouTube that do it. I think Taco Stacks does some dumpster diving. And there's another scrap metal guy that I usually watch. Can't remember his YouTube channel off the top of my head right now, but he does some dumpster diving too. Eric Brunhammer, before New Jersey made it illegal to put electronics on the curb and also illegal to trash pick, I used to do a lot of shopping at the curbside mall. I love that. I love that. I didn't know it was illegal in New Jersey. That's an interesting factoid. It's not here. Whether or not they will in the future, I don't know. The idea here, and the same thing in New York State too, is once it's put out on the curb, it's public domain and it's up for grabs. As a matter of fact, in our area, because our trash collecting is done by the city, they actually like it when people pick up the big stuff. That way they don't have to bother doing it. They don't have to get the big trucks out there, because we actually have two different kinds of vehicles. We have the ones that have the automatic arm that actually pick up our trash collectors and dump it into the truck. And then we have the other ones, which are like more traditional garbage trucks, and they're the ones that basically people hang on the back of them, and they go and pick up things like leaf debris, little items like maybe VCRs or DVD players, kind of stuff like that people put on the side of the road. And actually, we do have a third one too. We have one for bulk pickup that has a crane on it, and I've actually seen them. We've actually called them out a few times, and it's really cool. The garbage gentleman, the sanitation engineer, will get out of his truck. He'll climb a little ladder to a little crow's nest, and he'll sit on top. And they're like these two little handles, and he'll actually operate the crane, and he'll pick up whatever bulk trash you have, and he'll put it right on top. The entire top of this bulk collection vehicle is open. It's really cool. If you ever get down to Virginia, you'll have to check that out. Wow, oh my goodness, getting a lot of comments. Eric says, once it goes on the curb, it becomes government property here in New Jersey. Interesting. Maybe it was a liability thing, because maybe people are getting hurt picking up the trash. You get these scrap metal guys that go out and pick up the free steel, free aluminum, and they don't even put gloves on. And they wind up cutting themselves. Maybe there were some lawsuits or something. That's very interesting now. Ruben said, I had a Chinese phone scam today. Got to watch out for those, man. I get a lot of them myself. Not necessarily from China. Usually ours are from India and even our own country. But you can usually tell, because even if they're trying to spoof your number by using a local area code, usually it starts off with a something 01 number. And if I see that, I automatically know that it's a scam call. Seth Brakefield, do you have any experience in the first gen i7s? I've had a few in the past. They tend to have a lot of overheating issues, but that's not what this video is about. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to answer any tech questions. This video is going to be mostly about reselling and things that, ways you can improve trying to start your reselling business. We're getting a little off topic, so let's try to get back to what this is. So let's go with the other big thing. The other big thing is when you're out getting the products that you want to bring home, you want to look at value added. In other words, you want to see what you can buy, how much you can buy it for, and can you add value to it. A great example is when I go out thrift store shopping and I pick up computer towers. I might get them for usually on average $10 to $30, depending on the thrift store. Give you an example. I picked up that Core i5 Dell the other day for $15, and luckily all that wound up missing was a optical drive. So they'll put an optical drive in that, and then I said to myself, okay, what can I do to make this more valuable? I could have sold it as is. I could have just thrown it on Craigslist saying, got a tower here, didn't do anything with it, $50, come here and get it. No, that's not what you do. In my case, what I always do. I reloaded Windows on it. I made sure the computer was running properly, did all the diagnostics I needed to. And then I paired it with a monitor, keyboard, mouse, and a pair of speakers. Believe it or not, just adding those few items can increase the value immensely. I was able to flip that particular computer for $280, and I figured that I was into that computer for a total of about $30. So that's $250 worth of profit right there. Whereas most people probably would have taken that computer, maybe reloaded Windows, but not have paired it with anything, just sold it as a plain tower. And if you just sold it as a tower, you might get $100 out of that if you're lucky. So not only does this work for computers, but this works for pretty much anything. I know a gentleman on YouTube, Craigslist Hunter, who does the same thing with VCRs, cassette decks. And what he does is he gets them in really cheaply, tests them, make sure they're working properly, and then he'll print the original manual for it. And you can get a lot of manuals for those things online as a PDF. He'll try to find a remote for it if it had one originally, and he'll also buy in bulk blank videotapes, blank audio tapes. And what he'll do is he'll take really nice pictures. I remember seeing a video he did where he had a nice Onkyo dual cassette player that he got from a thrift store. I think he paid like $10 for it. Printed out the PDF manual, put a few blank Maxell tapes with it, and took nice pictures of it, and listed on eBay. And I think he wound up getting about $60 for that. So he made about $45 to $50 profit after the eBay fee. So it's not just computers that you can do this with. There are a lot of different items out there. Reviews for Noob says, get old Core 2 Duo PCs and upgrade them to Q6600s, quad-core processors, if they support it for around $10, including shipping. Great, absolutely. And I remember you talked to me about that before. You had sent me a personal message. And I probably will be doing that with those Dell Vostro 200s that I got. I haven't even had a chance to start working on those yet. You just got to be smart about it. When you look at reselling, like a lot of people's biggest mistake is overestimating what they can get for a product. And yes, I did get my water. Getting even simpler than what we were talking about before. Let's say I have this gallon bottle of water. This is a pure aqua bottle of spring water. This sells for about 59 cents at Aldi. I have this gallon bottle of water I got for 59 cents. What am I going to do with it? Well, I could sit here and drink it like I'm doing right now. But let's say I am a seller at a flea market, and it's a hot summer's day. I have this nice gallon jug of water. You've been at that flea market all morning. You're sweaty, you're tired, you're thirsty. And I set that jug of water right over here on my table, and I put a price of $2 on that. You think you're going to buy it? I bet you would. Even though it's a gallon of water and you probably only want like a 16 fluid ounce little bottle of water, you would probably buy that for $2 because you are thirsty. And that brings me to my next point, supply and demand. And this is where it gets a little interesting. I used to feel bad because I felt like I'm taking advantage of people when they need something. I have it and I can charge a little bit of a premium for it. Now, I'm not talking about gouging people. That's something totally different. It would be totally ethical for me to bring this to a flea market and sell this bottle of water for $2. Because let's face it, when you go to concerts, any type of big events, festivals, they'll sell you a bottle of water for $4. So the fact that I'm making $2, I'm making $1, 40 or a little over $1 on this is actually a great deal for somebody because if they don't have to go out, they don't have to leave the flea market, they don't have to go to the store and buy it where they'd have to be spending money on gas. So you guys see where I'm going with this. You got to be smart about it. When you're reselling, you got to think like an entrepreneur. You got to think, okay, how can I make the most profit on an item while also being fair to the person that I am selling that item to? And believe it or not, in more times than not, you'll find that happy medium. And I can't tell you how to do it for your particular business because I don't know what your particular business is. Only you know what your particular business is. So you kind of just got to tailor it to whatever you're doing. And that's where these suggestions are going to come into play. And I hope I'm helping quite a few of you out there who are trying to decide, is reselling really for me or not? Flips May says, I tried selling chips at a concert for $2 each. I made quite a bit of money. There you go. Again, depending on the venue of where you are and what you're selling, you can make a good profit. And you just can't feel bad about making a profit because that's what being in a capitalist free enterprise society is. We have to be okay to make a profit. Now, where it's not okay is when you have businesses that are advertising they're nonprofit or charitable and they're making a profit. And believe me, that happens. That's false advertising, and you can actually go to jail for doing that, believe it or not. But if you are an entrepreneur, you are somebody that has an item, no matter what it is, and it's an item that another person needs, and that other person is willing to pay more for it than you did, that's okay. And as long as it's not gouging. Now, there are times like during a hurricane or a blizzard where, yes, you will find the odd gas station they'll be trying to sell a case of water for $25. It's going to happen because with profit and human nature comes that other bad, nasty G word, greed. And there is a lot of greed out there. Unfortunately, it usually rears its ugly head during the holidays, during times of crisis, because people know that they can make money off of other people's sorrow. And I am not telling anybody out there to go ahead and do that. That is totally unethical. It's wrong. You'll have to answer to your higher power about that. But making a profit, a reasonable profit, is okay. That is absolutely okay. Max Petrak says, reselling question. Why do MacBooks from like 2008 go for so much still? Very interesting question. You guys know that I am not a huge Apple fan, but I've done some research on this. And from what I can tell, the reason they go for premium is simply people are willing to pay for it. And it's what they're paying for is the name. You got to realize the Apple OS is really just another flavor of Linux. It is. It's been Linux since OS 10.1 came out back in like 2000. But people know the name. They know that the products that Apple puts out are quality, i.e., they will last a long time. So that's why people are willing to pay a premium for an Apple product that's 10 years old. Heck, I know people that are trying to sell older MacBooks and Mac Pros. I knew somebody locally that was selling a 2006 first gen Mac Pro Tower. He was asking, I think, $300 for it, and he still got it. I mean, that's an amazing price for what is now a 12-year-old computer. And that wasn't even a high-end one. That one was I think it was a dual core. It was just a Core 2. It wasn't even one of the Xeon ones, actually. Eric Brunhammer, when I was in middle school, I used to go into a place that had a cigarette machine and buy a pack of dollar cigarettes, then sell them at school for $1 per cigarette. All right. Okay. That is not okay. I'm sorry, buddy, Eric. Yeah, I agree with you a lot of times, but no, that is not okay. I do not promote cigarette smoking at all. I mean, it was an interesting thing that you did that back then, and I know that it happened a lot. But yeah, that's not something I can condone at all. Flips May says, my hobby is finding older computers. I sell them for 3 times the value they're worth and people buy them. There you go. It's, and you say that you sell them for 3 times their worth, but an item is worth what people are willing to pay for it. So if I had a computer out there, let's say I had a Packard Bell Legend 1030 CDT. I'm just throwing a computer out of the air. It's a system from the mid-90s. And let's say I bought it for $20 at a thrift store. And I put that on eBay and it sold for $400. Well, guess what? That means that it's worth $400. An item is worth whatever somebody is willing to pay for it. And the market really sets the price. Now, there's something that I found locally, not to totally change gears here, but there's something I found locally that I want to get your guys' input on. And I know a lot of you people are probably going to say, yes, go buy it right now. Somebody in my area is selling a vintage Apple IIgs WAS edition for $140 or best offer. Comes with all the software, the 5.25 inch and the 3.5 inch drive, everything, and it is working. Now, I want to get some input from you guys on this. It's still available as of right now. I don't know if I'm going to get it or not. I'm probably going to try to call this person tomorrow, see if he or she still has it. But let me know what you guys think. Let me see what your brains are thinking right now, and let me know if you think that's a good buy or not at $140. Stephen Barber says, I hate to say it, yeah, I would do it as a Mac fanboy. Okay, so Stephen Barber, that's one for Stephen Barber. See who else might want to say that. And I'm by no means am I definitely going to buy this. I need to raise a little bit more capital for that purchase, because this is what we call a want and not really a need. And this time of year, it's hard to justify getting wants, especially after I bought a second car. Flips May says the old Mac could have issues. You are right. I mean, we are talking about a 21-year-old computer, or thereabouts. It could have some hardware problems. So I'm thinking that's a one no from Flips there. Eric Brunhammer says, open it up and make sure the board is signed too. That is a very good point, because they were faking these for a while. He doesn't show a picture of the board. He does show a picture of the front of the computer, the CPU itself, with the sticker that says WAS Limited Edition. But from what I understand, you can just buy those online. He could be just trying to make a normal Apple IIgs worth more money. Ruben says the 21-year-old computer not worth it anymore. Well, I think I've got enough input here. I will let you know that if it is a true WAS edition, it's more than worth the money. A Apple IIgs WAS edition complete on eBay will set you back almost $500. So at $140 is actually a really good price. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it or not. I'm going to make a call tomorrow, see if it's still available. I may just go down there to check it out. So I just want to get your guys' input on that, see what you think. That's it. Got a lot of people talking about the Mac OS 7, which I'm not going to discuss because I honestly don't know enough about it. Stephen Barber says, I bought a Performa 6200 CD for $60. Great computer. I had a couple of them back in the day. Even if it cost a lot, I would buy it. You know what? I'm leaning towards it. And again, if I can get the funds together, it might happen. But don't, like I said, don't feel bad if I can't do it. I'm going to try to swing it. And it may, at this point, I don't know, it may not be what I think it is either. Oh, Mark Covington's here. Mark, hope you're enjoying this later start. I know for you, I want to start this one at 8. Ho, ho, ho. Hey, Matt. When buying a used CPU, would it be best to check to make sure no one's personal information is on there? That is a good point. Now, for the Apple IIgs, you really wouldn't have to worry about that because that was before they put hard drives in computers. So the Apple IIgs doesn't actually have a hard drive in it. Now, it does come with, appears to be maybe 20 or 30 floppy disks, which could contain personal information. And me being an ethical person, if that was the case, I would format those disks before ever doing anything with them. Good question, Mark. Flips May says, I was thinking about buying a Macintosh SE. Interesting. I had one or two of those as well. Those, believe it or not, there were two different models. There was the SE and the SE30. And the SE30, I think, was called that because it had the 30 megabyte hard drive, whereas the regular SE didn't come with a hard drive natively, though you could add an internal one if you wanted to. I believe that was actually the first of the original Macs that was capable of having an internal hard drive. Before that, you had the Mac Plus and the Mac 512 and all the other ones. And the only way you could get a hard drive on that would be to get one of those external SCSI hard drives that were almost as big and wide as the computer that you would sit underneath and you'd hook up the SCSI cable from the hard drive to the Mac. And those are really prone to failure because if you had any issues with the cables, you wouldn't be able to boot your computer without, of course, the startup disk. Reviews for noobs. I bought a mint new condition, a 2006 white Core 2 Duo Mac for $50. Said no keyboard or mouse, 4 gigs of RAM, and 160 gig hard drive. That's a good buy. 4 gigs of RAM is quite a bit for that computer. I think originally most of them came with like 256, 512 back in the day. Good buy. Definitely a good buy. Xbox Fanatic 2001. Do you remember the Dell Inspiron 1300? Not off the top of my head. Believe it or not, as long as I've been doing this, I've probably owned one of almost every Dell Inspiron that's out there. Let me look that up real quick. Dell Inspiron 1300. Yes. Oh, yes. I do remember those very well. Those were extremely prone to motherboard failures. A friend of mine gave me one. It was a Celeron version, and I would stay away from them. They did not hold up over time. Stephen Barber, I am not an OS 10 fan, but I do like Leopard. My eMac has it, but other than that, I like the other Mac operating systems such as OS 7 and 8. Interesting. We're getting off topic here, so let's swing back to what we need to talk about here. I'll answer one more question here. Flips May says, I'm also thinking about upgrading a IBM ThinkPad T42 to an M-SATA SSD. Interesting. I didn't even know that it had an M-SATA slot in there. It will be connected to, oh, gotcha, an M-SATA to IDE adapter. Yeah, I mean, the only problem with that is the more connections you have, the more points of failure you have. So you want to be cautious about that. Give it a try. It might work. You never know. So what is that? Oh, compact flash. Yeah, I mean that's definitely another option. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm about 35 minutes in. I've shared all the information that I needed to. Hope you guys really get a lot out of these live streams, especially the more informational ones. This really wasn't more of an entertainment live stream. This was really to get some information out there, try to help people maybe figure out another source of income. The next one I do will try to be a little bit more lighthearted and be more open. And I know you guys missed those. Matter of fact, I may try to actually do one from my van, or heck, maybe even from the Buick LeSabre. Hope you guys are having a great evening. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I'm getting tired. Please continue to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.